Hey everybody, welcome to another video in a series of videos for Supervillain, This Galaxy is Mine. Now in this particular video, I'm just going to show you some sample gameplay for a 3-player game to give you a rough idea of how the gameplay works. Now the cool thing about this game is this is actually a pretty simple game. You can actually figure out how to play the game just from the sample gameplay video. You probably won't even need to check out the tutorial video. And the cool thing about this is just by watching the sample gameplay, you can see the interaction of the game and see how this is a game that has lots of player interaction, which is something I really love in games. Of course, you can always still check out my tutorial video where I show you how to play the game, and you can also check out the video review for the game. But in this video, I'm just going to show you some sample gameplay between 3 players, and we'll go and start that right now. Now, at the start of the game, every single player needs to get 2 minion cards, and that's how we start the game. And the way we figure out who the first player is the person who has seen the most recent Supervillain movie or something along those lines or read a book. Now, of course, I've read the most recent book because I'm the only person playing, but I'm kind of cheating. So I'm going to start with myself right here, and we're going to start this 3-player game right now between these 3 players. Now the game is played over 3 phases or 3 parts of a day. You have your morning, you have your day, and then you have your evening, and that's going to end the player's turn. Then you just move on to the next player's turn. So the very first thing we need to do is we need to start with the morning phase. Now in the morning phase, every single player, if they've launched any asteroids, they would get a chance to draw some extra minions for every single asteroid they've already launched against another player. So it does kind of give you enough incentive to start launching asteroids at other players, even if you really don't have anything to do with them. Sometimes it's just a good idea, especially if you got a couple of projects already started. It's kind of a nice idea to get those cards launched at the other players. Not only does it threaten them, it just gives you more minion cards, and minion cards are kind of the secret to winning the game. Without the minions, you can't build a project. Without the projects, you don't get the victory points. No victory points, yep, you guessed it, you're not going to win the game. So the very first thing you need to do is we're going to have the morning phase, and we need to check to see if we have any of those asteroids. For every asteroid, we're going to draw a minion card. Then we're going to have those asteroids go in and perform whatever effects they may be, whether they're a charged or uncharged asteroid. But since that's not the case, we are going to skip that, and the next thing we're going to do is we're going to move to the day phase, where we draw our first minion card, and then we are going to draw one of these cards from the top of the domination deck. And now we need to make a decision. All the other players do get to see what this card is, so they kind of can see what we're doing and see our decisions that we're making as we play the game. So we're going to see that we now have drawn the Star of Death. No relation to somebody who talks with a breathing apparatus and force powers on lightsabers or anything at all. No relation at all. It's kind of the humor of the game. They throw a lot of this stuff in the game, which adds a little bit of a smile when you're playing the game. So the Star of Death is going to be a card. Now this project, while you're working on this project, it does have this very cool ability. At any time, you can discard this card or destroy this card, sending it to the discard pile, which allows you to destroy any project that doesn't have any mobs on it, which can allow you to shut down another player, especially if they're getting very close to winning the game. Also, once you have finished this project, it's going to give you 2 victory points, almost halfway to winning the game right there. And once per turn, you can discard some minion cards from your hand to start destroying any secret facilities that do not have any defense tokens on it. So this is a very powerful card. So now I, as a player, need to make a decision. Again, like I said, this is a game that has multi-use cards, so all your decisions really matter, and that's why I enjoy the game. Every decision matters because you're not just basically randomly throwing cards down like you do in some take-that games. You're having to make some really interesting decisions. So I could start off this game and launch it at another player, which guarantees next round I'm going to draw 2 minion cards instead of just drawing 1. More minion cards you have, the more abilities you have, so that's kind of a good decision. The unfortunate thing is this is actually a really cool card that has some very cool powers, and once I have it built, I can start working on shutting down the other players. So I am actually going to take this card, and I'm going to make this my project that I'm going to start working on, and that ends my morning phase. It's now time to move on to the day phase. Now that I made my decision for my day phase, and I have my very first project, I now have my hand of cards, and now I get to decide if I want to play 1 minion mob, and then 1 minion ops card, which is basically I can play a card for his top half, I can play a card for his bottom half. Don't have to do that, and plus if I have any swift cards, or if I have any cards that boosted, I can play those cards on top of that. Now I do have 3 different cards in my hand, and again, we never show these cards to other players, but I'm just going to show you some of the decisions that we do have in our hand. I do have this one card, which is worth 400 million mobs, and this project takes 1.5 billion, so I would take quite a few of these mobs to get this project built, but again, that's victory points and powers once I do have that built. I also have a 500 million and another 500 million card, but the nice thing about these cards is you're going to notice that one of them is a swift card, which means I could play this card plus these 2 for the bottom half, or I can play one of these for the top half. Again, these are all the decisions that we have to make. So our first one is public kidnapping. I can destroy a mob, then move another villain's mob onto one of my projects. Basically, if I see another player who has a 700 million, I can steal one of their mobs, which is really nice and fantastic. I have the Swift card right here, which says launch an asteroid. Then you may transform any of your projects into asteroids. Remember, if I have asteroids, I'm going to get more minion cards at the start of the next turn, so that is actually pretty darn cool. And then finally, I have this one here that says transform your secret facility, which I don't have any yet, into a project. Then draw 2 minion cards, which basically allows me to restart a project all over. Why would I do that? For the extra cards, especially if I have a card that looks like it's about to become a target from another player. Or I can destroy a secret facility and draw 3 minion cards. Again, why would you do that? Maybe you need cards. Maybe you see that it's about to become a target for another player and there's no way to stop it. So you might as well just go ahead and try to reap some rewards from it before it gets destroyed anyways. So these are all the cards we have in our hand. So the first thing we are going to do is we are going to start working on our project. So we're going to play this mob card. It's now played as a mob card. It's no longer a minion card we play for the top half. It is a mob card. We're now a third of the way towards creating this project, and now we still can play one minion ops card, or we can play a swift minion ops card, as many swift ones as we want. And we are actually going to play a swift minion ops card. We are going to play the dodge this, which says launch an asteroid, and we are going to launch an asteroid. Now we can pick either one of the players, but we're going to just go ahead and play it towards the left. Why? Because we're mean like that, and that's what we want to do. And then we're going to discard this card. And this says we may transform any of our projects into asteroids if we like. Well, we like that project, so we're definitely not going to do that. That card will go on a discard pile. And again, that was a swift card, so we could still play this card. We don't want to do that yet, so we will end our day phase. We'll move on to our evening phase, where we must discard down to 7 or less cards. If we have more than 7, must discard down to. Our turn is over, and now we get to go to the next player in clockwise order. For our next player, we simply start our day during, just like the other player, we're going to start during the morning phase, move to the day phase, and then move to the evening phase. So the first thing we do during the morning phase is if we have any asteroids, we get to draw a minion card for every asteroid we've launched. We don't have any in place, don't need to worry about it, so we draw our minion card, and then we draw our project. And then we get to decide if this is going to be a project that we're going to start, or if it's going to be an asteroid that we're going to launch towards another player. Again, that's how we get our minion cards, and it's also how we stop other players, especially other players who are kind of being a thorn in our side and already starting off as being aggressive. But before we do that, let's look at the project we have right here. This is going to be the Space Elevator. Space Elevator. That's actually a really cool reference to a movie that is pretty fun. Anyways, it says, when complete, we get to draw a minion card. It only costs 900 million minions to complete, and it's also worth a victory point. And once it's completed, it says, once per turn, we can move your mob from one of your projects onto another, which is a great thing to do, especially if we have any projects that we want to decide that, hey, we can kind of build them up a little bit average on each one of the projects, and then finally just lock the last project in and gain victory points. So, like all the cards in this game, it's kind of a tough decision. So while we're making this decision, all the other players are waiting to see what we're going to do. But we know what we're going to do. We're going to get revenge against the player who already decided to start off the game by being aggressive. Why? Because we want to. So now that we have finished our morning phase, we now get to go to our day phase, where we get to play a mob card and we get to play a minion card. Of course, we can't play a mob card because we don't have any projects. So now we just need to look to see if we have any cards that are minion ops that we want to play. So we have a swift card that says launch as many asteroids as there are incoming asteroids. Next up, we have a take any project from the discard pile. Not really worth it. And then we have swap your mob with other villains' mobs. Again, not really worth it, so not something we're going to do. But you know what? I think we're going to launch some asteroids. So we're going to discard this card right here for its ability. And again, it's a swift card, so if we had another minion ops card we wanted to play, we could. But we don't. But since we have an asteroid coming our way, we get to return the favor. Now the bonus for this is now we are going to start the next round with 3 minion cards, bring us to a total of 5 minion cards. But before we go that far, let's end our day by going to our evening, where we don't have more than 7 cards, so we don't need to worry about it. Our turn is over. We now get to go to the third player who gets to start their turn. And again, just like we always do at the start of every turn, if we have any asteroids in play, we get to draw a minion card for every one of them. If we don't, we still get to draw at least 1 minion card. Then we get to flip over the top project, and we get to figure out what we want to do with this project. Now, this project is the Interplanetary Booster. It says while we're working on it, it's only cost 900 million minions to complete. It's worth 1 victory point. When it's complete, we get to launch an asteroid. Always a fun thing. And then while it's in play, it says whenever you charge an asteroid, you get to draw a minion card. Now remember, charge asteroids are extra powerful. Regular asteroids only destroy minions. A charge asteroid can destroy a minion who has a shield on it. None of those are in play. I have one right here, so that's a shielded minion. Can destroy a minion with a shield on top of it. It can also destroy a project that doesn't have any minions. It can also destroy a secret facility once it's beat. And again, secret facilities are your victory points. You destroy your opponent's secret facilities, you're taking away their victory points. So we could decide to turn this into a project, but I do like the fact that we can get extra cards. Extra minion cards are always wonderful, so we are going to put this project into play and not launch any asteroids. That ends our morning. We now get to move to our day where it's one minion ops, one minion mob card, and we get to figure out what we want to play for that. So we do have a couple cards. We have Nefarious Conversion. That's worth 400 million minions, or we can destroy any mob and put a shield onto your mob or secret facility if that mob had a shield. Could be pretty nice, not too bad at all. We could use it over here if we really wanted to. Next thing we have is a Swift card. It says destroy your project, then destroy 2 projects. That's actually not that bad, except we like this card, so we're not going to do that. And then finally it says put up to 2 shields onto your mobs and or secret facilities. Now, one thing to understand about this game is there can never be a shield on any projects. They can only go on secret facilities once they've been built. So that is a good card that we may want to stay behind, because we do have the old Star of Death, which means we may need some shields to protect our facilities from that nasty little Star of Death. So that's a card we may want to keep back in our hand. So just like always, we have a whole bunch of decisions what we want to do on our turn. I think what we're going to do on our first thing is we're going to put 400 million minions towards building this project as our first thing, and then we're going to play this card. Sorry, right here we have the other 2 cards that we have in play. We could destroy our project, which would be kind of silly to get 2 more projects, but I think we're actually going to hold on to that card. We're going to move to our evening phase. We have less than 7 cards. We don't need to worry about it. We're going to move on to ending our turn and moving to the next player's turn. At the start of this player's turn, again, the very first thing we do is we have the morning phase. And in the morning phase, for every asteroid we've managed to launch on the prior turn, we get to draw a minion card, so we'll draw a minion card right now. And then our meteor makes it to our opponent. Unfortunately, we don't have anything to attack with it, so it's kind of wasted. We're just going to discard it, but it really wasn't wasted because it was worth at least 1 card for us, which is always a good thing. We'll go and toss that into the discard pile right over here. Turn it sideways just so we know what the discard pile is right there. And then now that we're done with that, we get to draw our minion card, because you always draw a minion card on top of any asteroid you get. So again, you see the purpose of sending out these asteroids is always great, because it gives you more cards to use. That's the end of that part of our phase. Now for the final part of our morning, we get to draw a card. And again, we need to decide if we're going to make this a project or if we're going to launch another asteroid at one of our opponents. So we've drawn the Hijack Squad. Again, a very cool reference to a movie, a comedy movie, if you know which movie I'm talking about. And it says for 900 million, we're going to gain 1 victory point, but it says at any time before this project turns into a secret facility, we can destroy this project, then shoot down any uncharged asteroids. Kind of a nice card to keep off to the side, especially if all of our opponents start launching asteroids at us, kind of like they are over here, because we know that they're going to use those asteroids to make our life very difficult, because they definitely don't want us to destroy or build the Star of Death. So that's one possible option we can have for it. Or we can just launch it at one of the other players and figure out if we're going to get any extra minions at the start of the turn. But before we decide if that's what we want to do, let's look at the minion cards we happen to draw. We drew a minion card that says Rob the Mob. It's bottom half ability. It's a swift ability. It says move any shields from any of your mobs onto your secret facilities. Always a good thing. It's only worth 300,000, but it does come with a shield, which means it can take 1 uncharged meteor, which is always a good thing. Our other card we got is 500 million mobs, and it says transform your project into an asteroid, then draw a project, or transform your project into an asteroid and charge it. Now that could be very, very nasty to do if we wanted to, because we do have a project right here. We could turn it into a charged asteroid and launch another player, but it wouldn't be as effective as it could be. Although we could use it over here on this project, even though it has a minion, so we couldn't do it. But we could do it at a later date if we wanted to. And let's figure out if that's what we want to do. But first, let's look at all the options we have. We also have this one that says transform your secret facility into a project, then draw 2 minions. We don't have a secret projects built yet, so we don't have to worry about this card. But we do have to worry about these 2 giant asteroids that are coming our way. We know at least one of them is going to get rid of these minion mobs right here. So we need to plan exactly what we want to do on our turn and decide what we want to do with this project. I think what we are going to do is, instead of launching this as an asteroid, we're going to put this project into play, which is going to allow us to destroy it at any time and destroy one of these. And we can also discard 2 cards to also destroy another one of these asteroids, again making this player's life much more difficult. So let's go ahead and end our morning phase and go ahead and move on to our day phase, where we get to do all of those things. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to destroy this project. Allows us to shoot down any asteroid we want, so we're going to shoot down that asteroid with a smile. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to put this minion on this project right here, and that's a shielded minion who is worth another 3,000 or 300 million minions. So we're now at 800 million. We're over halfway to building this project. And then we're going to do the final thing. If you ever forget, it's always on these nice reference cards right here. But if we ever discard 2 cards, we can destroy any asteroid in play that's not charged. We're going to destroy this asteroid. It's going to go in the discard pile. We're going to smile at our opponent because we've managed to work more towards our projects. We're still in the lead and we're doing wonderful. And our turn is over because we don't have anything to do with our evening phase. Let's pass it on to the next player. At the start of this player's turn, normally we would still have our asteroids in play unless somebody was really rude to us and destroyed all our asteroids. Hint, hint. But since somebody destroyed all our asteroids, we don't get the bonus of the extra minions that we would have had if we still had our asteroids in play. So we don't get any extra minions for that, so we simply get to draw our 1 minion card that we normally get to draw. And then still during the morning phase, we get to draw our project, and we need to decide what we want to do with this. And it's going to be the interesting, if you ever want to go to Vegas card. It's going to be a project that says, when complete, each villain destroys all his or her projects with no mobs, then draws that many projects. That could be very devious to play on other players, especially if we don't need any minion cards that badly. Or, of course, we can launch this at the other players. Once this is built, it's worth 1 victory point. It says once per turn, we can destroy your project, then draw a project. Kind of nice thing to do in case we have any projects that have abilities that we don't need or don't want, or if there's something we need to do. So that's kind of a nice ability. So now we have the option. We can launch an asteroid at another player. We saw how well that worked for us last turn. Or we can decide that we're going to start working on our project so we don't start falling behind the other players. And that's exactly what we are going to do. We're going to start working on this project right here. Then we're going to look at our hand of cards because we're done with our morning phase. It's now time for the day phase. We're pretty fortunate. We do have 2 minions who both have shields on them, and we have 1 more minion who doesn't have a shield, but we do all have all these very nice special abilities. Now our new card from the minion op says, shoot down any asteroid. If it was charged, its owner draws a minion card. It's maybe a great card to keep in our hand, especially as aggressive as this player has been. We have this card that says, take any project from the discard pile. Well, we now have projects in the discard pile. And then we finally have this card right here that swap your mob with other villains' mobs. That's also very nice, especially if we want to put cards into play to start stealing mobs that have higher amount values on them. So we can do that to be kind of devious to other players. So the first thing we are going to do is we're going to put down this minion right here to start working on this project. And it's going to be a shielded minion because we see just how aggressive the other players are currently playing. And now we have 1 minion ops ability we can play. And it says, this one right here, take any project from the discard pile. We're going to go through the discard pile and we're going to look for that nice one that is, I think this is the one I wanted. Yep. We are going to take this project and put this project into play. It's the Superhero Recycling Plant. It says, when it's completed, draw a minion card. And then if it's destroyed, doesn't matter who destroys it or how it's destroyed, we get to draw 2 minion cards and it's worth 2 victory points. So we now have this project in play also. We have our 1 card left over. It's not a Swift or a boosted card, so we can't play it because we've already played 1 card for each one of its abilities. That ends our day phase. We move to the even. We don't have more than 7 cards. So we are going to end our turn and we get to move over to the next player in line. No asteroids in play. We are going to draw our minion card, flip over our top project, and it's going to be the fake multipass. 700 million minions to build it, worth 1 victory point. When complete, discard a minion card, then destroy all your other projects. That's kind of deadly, but the reason why we have these cards is you see that it takes less minions to get into play, and it's still worth 1 victory point, which is pretty darn decent, so that's actually not that bad of a card. The only problem is that we want to make sure we build this one after we've completed this project. So we need to decide if that is worth it. And it does say once per turn, use a once per turn ability of any secret facility that currently has no shields on it. So this is actually a pretty nice card to get into play. The only trick is that when we put it into play and complete it, it's going to hurt us just a little bit. So we have to be very careful. So we're definitely going to decide that we're going to put this into play as a project we're working on. Let me double check our minion card just to make sure. Oh wow, this is actually very nice. We actually have some wonderful possibilities here. What we have, and why I'm hesitating here, is we now have managed to get a 700 million minion card. So that does mean that if we put this onto this card right here, we are going to instantly build this secret facility, which is pretty darn nice. But then we have to discard a minion card, and then we're going to have to destroy all of our other projects. So we need to decide if that is really worth it, or if we want to wait a moment and possibly finish this project first, which is actually what we're going to do. So to show you how this is going to work, we'll put this project into play as a project we're working on. We're going to end our morning phase. We're going to move on to our day phase. For our day phase, we're going to put this minion down right here. 500 million plus 400 million is definitely 900 million. That will complete this project right here. So this project, it says when complete, launch an asteroid. We're going to launch an asteroid at the most aggressive player right now on the table. And then now that we have completed this, we're going to turn this sideways, and we now have this ability that says whenever you charge an asteroid, draw a minion card. It's a permanent ability we have in play. We also have 1 victory point. Remember, 5 victory points wins the game. These two guys are going to go into the discard pile. This asteroid is one launch. We'll put this shield over here. We don't need to worry about it at all. And now, since we have completed our project, the only thing we can do is minion ops cards. If we want, we can play one of our minion ops cards. We are not going to do that. We can't play any of our minion mob cards anymore to finish this project. So our turn is over. We're going to move to the eating phase. Don't need to worry about anything. We get to move over to this player who gets to start their turn. At the start of this player's turn, we don't have any minion cards in our hand because we burned them all last turn just to keep our project going. So that's A-okay with us. No asteroids in place, so we don't get any free minions. So we draw a minion card, have a quick look at it, and then we're going to draw our project and put the project out for everybody to see it. We're going to see that it's the Headhunter card. It costs 900 million to get into play and has a couple special abilities when complete, also worth a victory point. So now we need to decide if we want to launch it or if we want to keep it. And we definitely want to keep it because this is a really nice card that can allow us to combo really well when it happens to be complete. So we're definitely going to keep that card. So the next thing we have is we have our Minion card. And this Minion card is a boosted card, and it has a Minion Op special power, and we're not going to use it. We're just going to finish our turn by putting these cards into play like this. The only thing we have to be careful about is we do have this asteroid coming towards us, and we do know what this asteroid is going to hit. Unfortunately, I don't have a card that's going to allow us to stop it at all, which is the unfortunate thing. So we pretty much know what's going to happen unless we're able to draw another card, and we're not. Our turn's going to end. We get to go to the next player in order. I think you kind of have the basics here, so I'm going to go ahead and speed up the gameplay now just to show you how quick the turns actually go when you start playing the game. No asteroids in play. We'll draw our card. We'll flip over our project, have a quick look at it, and actually I'm going to slow things down because this is one of the other things I do want to show you. There are projects in play that aren't actually worth victory points, but they do have special abilities when you build these projects, so they can be worth building. For example, this one is a System Error Fluctuator. It only costs 400 million minions to build, and when it's complete, we can draw 2 minion cards and or projects in combination, which can be very darn nice. If we happen to have a minion that's powerful enough to build this, we could complete this. It's not worth any victory points, but the only bad thing is if we do complete this one, we need 1 more domination point more to win the game. Of course, we can always destroy this project when it becomes a secret factory, because our cards allow you to destroy secret factories, so you see the potential ability for combinations you can make in the game. So while it's in play, it's a hindrance, but it also becomes a secret tool we can use against the other players. So it can actually be worth building for that special reason right there, especially this early in the game where it doesn't seem like anybody's very close to winning the game. So we could launch it. It'd be worth extra minion cards for us, which is very nice. But instead of launching it, we're actually going to complete this, which is going to give us 2 minion cards or possibly a project. So we'll put it into play as a project. We'll move over to our phase where we get to put one of our cards onto it. We need to figure out which one of our cards we're going to put onto it. We have this one that allows us to shoot down any asteroid, or we have this one that also allows us to shoot down any asteroid, but this one has an extra special power on top of it, so we're actually going to spend this card right here. That'll complete this project. We'll make this a completed project for this player. We'll put it down here so we know it's completed. This will go in the discard pile, and again, when this is completed, we get to draw 2 minion cards, or projects, or any combination of both. We are going to go ahead and take both of the minion cards. We'll take each one of these minion cards, and we have not played a Swift Ops Power yet, so we still have the option of playing a Swift Ops Power if we want. And we have 2 new powers: shoot down and uncharge asteroid of any other villain, then you may destroy a mob of a different villain. That's kind of nice. Destroying a mob or destroy any project with no mobs. That is actually very nice. And then when you shoot down any asteroid, you must destroy your project if it was charged, or put a shield onto your secret facility. So these are actually all really good cards, but we're going to wait because we want to start doing some combinations and start working towards building combinations, because combinations are how you win the game. We'll end that player's turn. We'll move over to this player's turn, who gets to draw 1 minion because they do have an asteroid in play. That asteroid hits this player right here, and we are going to be a thorn in their side, destroying that minion right there, making their life much more difficult, making it harder for them to complete that project. We're then going to get our minion card, and we'll draw a card, which is going to be the respawn pool. 900 million for a victory point. When complete, each other villain draws a minion card. Now, remember what we had from our prior turn. We do have the ability to complete this. It says, when complete, discard a minion card, and then destroy all of your projects. So we know we're going to destroy all of our projects on our turn, so we are going to take this and we are going to launch it at another player. So we have a couple options. We launch at this player or this player. Well, we don't want to dog on the same player constantly, because that's going to allow the other player to win. So we're going to spread the destruction just a little bit. We'll aim this meteor over at this player, and then we're going to move over to our day phase, where we are going to complete the project by playing this minion mob down right here. 700 million, 700 million. That completes the project. And it does say here, when complete, discard a minion card. So we'll look at our minion card, see which one we want to discard. And, oh, I like that one. Put this in our mob. Nope, don't want to do that one. We like that one. So, wow, these are all really good cards. I don't even want to destroy any of these. So, let's just be fast. Let's destroy this card. And then it says, when complete, destroy all your other projects. Hey, we don't have any other projects because this is a secret facility, so it's actually safe. So we are A-okay. It says, once per turn, use a once per turn ability of any secret facility that has no shields on it. So now we have 2 secret facilities in play. We now have 2 victory points. And it says, whenever you charge an asteroid, draw a minion card. And we now have 2 victory points for this player. This player is doing very, very well. And we haven't even played a Swift ability yet. We have a Swift ability, or I'm sorry, we have a Minion Ops ability and another Minion Ops ability, which we haven't played. We're not going to do that. We're going to end our turn. We're going to go over to this player's turn right now. No asteroids in play. Draw our Minion card. Look at our project. And we're going to get the Interplanetary Harvester. When complete, launch an asteroid. That's always fun. Worth a victory point, and also going to give us some extra special things if we want to put it in play. Unfortunately, well, actually, fortunately maybe. Tough call. This actually does not look as easy as a decision as we want, because right now we only have 2, 3 potential victory points. We need 5 to win the game. We could go for the long game and get our projects out there, but that kind of puts all of our eggs in one basket and kind of lets the other players know what we're doing. Kind of puts a bullseye on our head too. Or we can get extra minion cards, which is something we need because we only have 2 minion cards. And remember, minion cards can help you with those asteroids, so that's another decision to make. So I think what we're going to do is revenge. We're going to get revenge against this player who made our life difficult. So now we get to go to our day phase. And for our day phase, we need to figure out exactly what we are going to do. Let's see here. Each villain destroys his or her project with no mobs on it. That's not good. You may play any 2 minion ops as Swift this turn. Again, that's not that good. So we're not going to do that. But we are going to do a minion mob. Why are we going to do it? Because this one is a shielded one. Because shielded ones are going to allow us to at least stay alive longer with these darn asteroids that are out there. So now we have 700 million towards our 1,500 million. We're going to end our turn, go to this player's turn. No projects, or I'm sorry, no asteroids. Draw a minion. Draw a project. And we're going to get another one of these cool projects that has a very special power once it's built. It says this is destroyed whenever a mob on it is destroyed. If we get into play, we can destroy it at any time, then choose your mob. It gets 300 million minion power for this turn only. That's very nice because we can use that to instantly finish another project if it only needs 300 million minions or less at a time. Again, that's how we start building up all these combos to start getting all these cards into play. So that's actually a really cool power, a really cool ability. We need to figure out if this is something we want to do, because if we had like 1 billion minions on this, and we had this built, If we got just laid down a mob on that, we could get to that 1.3 billion very easily just from the use of this card. So you can see how the combinations start rolling together and how you start doing things to start building the combinations to build your projects while all these asteroids are being launched at you. I think you've seen enough gameplay to figure out Supervillains This Galaxy of Mine is a game for you and your game group. There's just been a quick 3-player game so you see the interaction of all the cards and see how the game plays. Now if you want to see an actual tutorial for the game, check out my tutorial video where I'll show you how to play the game. But again, you probably won't need that tutorial. This gameplay shows you pretty much how the game plays. You can also check out my full review of the game, which will tell you my opinion on what I thought about the game. Or if you just want a quick overview of the game itself, you can check out my quick overview video. If you have any comments or questions, make sure you leave them down in the YouTube comments down below. I will definitely get to them as quickly as I can. You can also feel free to email me at off-the-shelf board game reviews. That is otsbgr@gmail.com. I do my best to answer those emails again as quickly as I can. If you enjoy this content, you can think about supporting the channel over on Patreon. That is patreon.com/otsbgr. Your $1 in the tip jar can help bring out more content for the channel. If you enjoy this content, if you enjoy this channel, click that like button, click that subscribe button, and as always, thanks for watching.